No, he's not.
Oh, okay. And then let's.
So what you are recording?
Jamie is. I'm just
session, right?
checking them. Jamie is with us. I do not see Daniel.
No, not Daniel, Oscar, James, and Mario. They won't be present in today's session.
Okay. Now, will you want to exclude them from the evaluation process then and just move forward with those that are available?
Yes, but only we will exclude temporarily only James, Raphael, and Mario because they will be doing inspections, so we can add them when the inspections evaluation starts.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. I just want to because
since you're recording the session, correct?
I am recording the session. Yes.
Okay. So what we'll do is that later on, if you can provide me with that recording, I will make sure that Oscar, Daniel can have access to it. Okay.
Sure. Yes. This is important because when we get to the point where we want to close out the review, we won't be able to close the review out without these members who are missing. So I just want to know your instructions for moving forward if we want to remove them from the plan review evaluation process, and then when we get to inspections, then we can include them there.
No, but Oscar and Daniel, they just couldn't make it because they're on vacations now, but they will be part of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only guys that will be excluded from the review part will be James, Raphael, and Mario.
Okay.
Those three guys. So you don't have them there. So you can remove the red line for Oscar and Daniel. They will join in the next session, and I will make sure that I will provide them with the recordings for today.
Okay.
So they can catch up. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So that's the first thing that we want to touch base on is we want to make sure we know who our evaluation team is and that we're in touch with them because we need everyone to be involved when it comes time to close out the review cycle. Now, an administrator, Carlos or Colleen or yourself, Carmelo, can act on their behalf and close out their portion of the review so that we can continue as a group. So that's how we'll handle that, if that meets with your approval.
Sure.
Okay, so we took a look at our review team, and I want to just quickly go through the workflow so the team understands our process. Now, these icons here with the caution sign on it, that you'll find that on every page. And because the IDT system knows what your role is, it also knows what's next for you. So this is a message typically to the administrator to tell the administrator what's next in the process. So what takes place, and we're doing what we call an express review. And when we get fully implemented, you'll have plan review, you'll have different land types of reviews, maybe plats and site plans, and a number of different types of review. For our evaluation, we just have a shortened version of a plan review that we call an express review. So the applicant will access the system and they will fill out their application and submit their drawings. Once they do that and they confirm that they've completed their submittal, the system fires off an email. That email goes to our administrators, Carlos and Colleen. And at that point, they're going to take a look at the document set to make sure that we've got a complete set of submittals, because we don't want to start a review without a complete set. So if the set's not complete, if it's missing a site plan or something important, Colleen and Carlos will know that, and they will send out a correction notice back to the applicant that says, you've forgotten the electrical schedule. You need to include that before we can begin your review. So that process will take place until we've got a submittal set that meets all of the criteria. And so then at that point, the intake review will be accepted, and once it's accepted, a notice is sent out to the applicant that their submittal has been accepted for review, and the system then also sends out an automatic email notice to the review team and notifies each member of the review team of the project and the due date for the project. So at that point, we go under review, and then each review team member goes through the documents just the same way you do now with paper, only we're going to move into a paperless process. You're going to review the document, you're going to comment where appropriate, and then complete your work and close out your review cycle. So once the entire team has completed their review, typically a review does not pass on the first cycle, so we're going to have a set of correction notices that then are going to go back to the applicant. Following this line here, going to go back to the applicant for corrections. The applicant then is going to make his corrections and do a resubmittal. Now he's going to resubmit his corrected drawings along with answering all your comments, and then we start the second review process. The intake review team, they get a notification again that the applicant has resubmitted his corrected drawings. Colleen and Carlos will accept the accept the submittal for review. The system then fires off the automatic notifications. We automate as much of this process as possible, and then the review team then gets a notice that the project is back in for its back check, to where each review member can see the response to his comments and either approve that condition or require more information. Then of course we go through that process however many number of review cycles we need to until we get an approval. Until each and every comment that has been written by a reviewer has been addressed properly. Once that takes place, then we'll have a notice to proceed or an approval of the project. Once that takes place, then we can go into the inspections process, where we're going to notify the applicant that as soon as the job site conditions merit it, they can go ahead and begin to request their inspections. And for our purposes today, we're just going to focus on the electronic plan review portion, and we'll review the inspections process in a subsequent meeting. So I'm going to return to my PowerPoint to try and keep me on track here. So we've validated the review team. Whenever a reviewer or a team member signs up, we set permissions. So if there ever is, and remember that we're in a setup evaluation mode. So if you get to a point where you think you should be able to do something like make a comment or process an approval or a rejection, but you can't, that may have something to do with the permission setups, and we may have to check that for you. But we think we have it right. But always keep in mind, if you're having difficulties, try and reach me so that I can resolve your issues so we can move forward as smoothly and as quickly as possible. I can accept your phone calls, we can do chat online, and we can screen share to resolve any issues that come up for you. And so I would really like for you to consider me a member of your plan review team and rely on me whenever you have a problem, whenever you have a question. There are no dumb questions, they're all good questions, and I want to know that I can help you. So I encourage you to, whenever you have an issue, please contact myself or our support department so that we can help you move along in the process. We went through and updated the workflow just a moment ago, and a critical piece to the process is to make sure that you have the Bluebeam installed on your machine. The Bluebeam is critical to making the markups and creating a library of comments that you'll be able to access while you're doing your reviews. Now, we talked about, when we were looking at the workflow, we talked about the first step after the applicant does his submittal is to accept or reject that submittal as an administrator, and that is either Carlos or Colleen that takes care of that activity. When they accept the submittal, they also at that time assign the review team and then confirm that they've accepted the submittal, and then moves the process to the next stage. And the next stage is to begin the review. So each and every member of the review team should have gotten a notice that says you've been assigned to review this specific project. And the project that we have in the system that we're going to review is the El Guerrero Canelo restaurant. So hopefully each of you have received an email that tells you you've been assigned to review this project. Now let me back up for a moment and show you how you get to the project. I'm going to go to the home page, and from the home page, once you log in, you'll know you're successfully logged in when your name is up in the upper right in blue and white. Also, this drop-down allows you to manage your account if you need to change your password, your address, phone number, any of that stuff. Your account activity can be managed from right here. As a reviewer, when you start your work in the morning, you would sign in, you would log in, and then go to plan review if that's your focus for the morning. When we go to inspections, there'll be another link here that says inspections, but for right now we're just with plan review, and we'll want to go to the overview. Now again, the system knows who you are and what your role is, and is going to present you with a list of projects that you've been assigned to. And then here, of course, we've got the restaurant project is in our list and is currently in the stage of under review. In looking at this page, an administrator can tell that we're in the first review cycle. If we've gone through 3 or 4 reviews, this would say 3 or 4, whatever it is right here. the administrator can tell who the applicant is, what the application type is. The title of the project is a link to what we call the project page. Also, the administrator can tell how many reviewers have completed their work. We've had 8 reviewers assigned to this project, and because we have yet to start the project, none of them have completed their review. Every time an issue or a comment is written about the project that needs a correction, it's going to show up right here, and we're going to have a total number of issues here so that the administrator can get a feel for how well the project is put together, or maybe how improperly it might have been put together, or how many issues are available. We also have a due date, and we have the date at which the project entered into the system. So again, I've got my plan reviewer's hat on right now, and I've sat down at my desktop and to begin my work for the day. I expand the list of the overview by using these little arrows right here, and then I can access the project that I'm going to begin a review on. Now that brings us to the project page, and the project page over here on the right, these are project actions: creating documents, tracking your time, posting the amount of time that you spend on your review, just different actions that can be taken. And this action list changes depending on what your permissions are. So an administrator will have more items in their list than a plan reviewer will, because administrators, that's their job, is to have other functions different from the plan reviewers. Here in the middle of the page is a basic description on the project. The address, if it's a good address, you can click on that address and it's going to take you into the GIS system, show you a map of where that project is, which will be handy perhaps for inspectors when they go out to the project for the first time. So I'll scroll down the page, and here's our plan review status, our little caution icon telling us where this project is and what's next. So we see that action is required. The review cycle is under review. All reviewers must mark their work as complete in order to continue. So that's where we are. We're going to begin our review. I'll scroll down the page a little bit more, and we'll return to these bars that go across the page. Here's our open issues bar. This was a test comment that I made into the system just to make sure everything was working properly. And when you make your markups on the drawings, your comments will automatically be collated into this area for you. And this is then where the applicant will come and make their reply. Just as I'm simulating here. I'm going to cancel this out for the moment, but that's how we manage responses to the comments. The first thing the reviewer will want to do is to open up the folder that has the application submittal in it, and he'll want to import to Bluebeam the drawing set. So we'll check the box for the drawing set, click on import to Bluebeam, and then the system will pop in a file over here on the left-hand side. Click this area right here, and the drawing then will open and you can begin your review. Here on the screen we've got the cover page to a 47-page document set. If you can follow my cursor down here near the bottom, we can navigate. There's a couple of navigation tools here for reviewers. We can tab through the pages right here, going page 2, 3, 4, 5, that sort of thing. We have the standard zoom tools where if we want to zoom in on a detail, we can do that. We can pan around the drawing by grabbing the pan tool, and we can then pan around the drawing and zoom and pan to meet our needs. If we want a full page, we've got the full page icon right here. So this first set of tools here are navigation tools, and they're pretty simple to use. I've sent out an attachment to each of the reviewers on how to review a project in IDT plans. And this is a PDF document that will take you step by step through what we're going to do online here. So after we complete our session today, you'll still have this document that you can refer back to. A couple of other navigation tools. Over here on the left, in Bluebeam, you have a set of thumbnails. So you can put your thumbnail drawings up on the left-hand side, and you can manage this. You can spread it out and change the shape of your monitor to accommodate whatever your needs are. And each one of you will have a different way of doing things, and that's okay, because each one of us figure out the best way for us to get through our work. So not only can you navigate by putting your thumbnails over here on the navigation panel, but also we have the index of drawings that's available. So we can go to the demolition plan. We can go down to the floor plan if we're doing an architectural review or a structural review. We take a look at the foundation and the roof framing plan. So these are ways that you can navigate your way through this set of drawings. Bear with me while I return to my PowerPoint and want to make sure I'm not overlooking anything. So here we're on step 6, where the review team is beginning their review. And of course, logging in is the first step. Check the overview and then access the proper project. Now, after you're on the project, really I'd like for you to think about what you're doing as being as easy as 1, 2, 3. And I say this to try and keep everybody from overcomplicating the process, because it really is a very simple process. Now, I'm not saying that what you're doing is simple. It's not. To be able to review a set of construction drawings and pick out code infractions is not an easy job. It takes a lot of skill and training to be able to do that properly. But beyond that, the IDT process is pretty simple. It's 1, 2, 3. We're going to review the document, we're going to comment where appropriate, and then we're going to close out our review process. And again, I'm going to demonstrate that now. We're going to kind of do a mock review. I'm going to act as a reviewer and go use some of the tools. But remember that you can refer back to your PDF document on how to review a project in IDT plans in case I move things maybe through things a little too quickly in our presentation today. Also, as Carmelo has mentioned, I'm recording this session, and we're going to make it available so that you can refer back to our session if you need more information or a refresher. So let's go back into Bluebeam, and let's take a look at doing a review. I'm going to go to the civil drawings, and you guys will have to forgive me because I don't possess the review skills that you guys do. I know what I'm doing, but as far as knowing the code book and what violations are, some of the things that I'm probably going to write up here, you'll say, why is he doing that? Or, you know, but keep in mind, I'm just sort of mocking things up. So one of the first things that we want to make sure that we do, and we can move these sidebars out of our way in order to increase our screen size. We can also grab these tabs, and we can take these tabs, if we've got dual monitors, we can put you know, our primary drawing on the center monitor, and then we can put a detailed sheet on a second monitor. Well, bear with me now here. I just succeeded in losing my drawing, but I'll pick it back up here. So on your, while I'm waiting on my drawing to come back, you can use your PDF document to guide you, because when you first open up Bluebeam, and let's do that, when you first open up Bluebeam, you'll notice that you'll want to click on File over here, and then click on the www tab. And what that does is that allows you to put a browser in your Bluebeam window. And bear with me for a second while I bring up our CAP site. So what I'm showing you now is how to tap into the system from your Bluebeam browser. So here we are. We've got our browser in Bluebeam. We can go to Plan Review, Overview, and we can, from the overview, we can go and pick up the project in question. Once we have the project in question, we're going to import the drawing files to Bluebeam. And we're just about there, just a couple more percent. We're going to have our drawings up and we can begin our mock review. Now, when you're ready to begin your review and your PDF document is going to detail all of this out for you, you're going to want to use the markup, these primarily modes up here, File, Edit, View, Document. You want to be in markup. There are a lot of markup tools and a lot of different things that we can do. But for our evaluation process, we want to keep our comments just to creating them with the text box. And there's a reason for that, and that is that on the early stages, the text box just seems to work better. Some of the other features are a little more sophisticated, and we'll cover those in additional training sessions. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the site plan, and we're going to start a review. And so what I'm seeing here on the plan, I've created a library of tools, and I've saved them, and they're over here on the right-hand side. So once we get implemented, any time that you make a comment that you think will be reused, you can save that comment into your library. So let's do that. We're going to go up to the text box. We're going to select the text box, and let's say our comment here would be, we need a site monument or a sign. And my text is kind of small. I'm going to zoom into that so that you can see it a little better. But I'm also going to show you that you can manage the properties of any markup. And so what you would do is highlight that, that markup, select properties, then over on the right-hand side, we can manage the properties. If we're doing structural reviews and we want to use a different color, we can change that color maybe to blue. We can increase the font size. So here you can see that all of the properties, the font type, the font size, all those things can be managed. Now, if this is a comment that we're going to want to reuse, then we can place it in our library. And the way that we do that is when we're in properties mode, we come over here to the right and scroll to the very bottom. Oh, let's see, bear with me a second. Change that to blue, and we want to save that into our library. So our options are to add this to my tools, and I can put it in any folder that I've created. And so what I've done is I've created a folder for each of the different disciplines. So there can be a mechanical folder there, a plumbing folder, a structural folder, and inside those folders are going to be comments that we've saved. So I'm going to save this one to my IDT plans folder, and just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and delete this from the page because I know that I've put it over here in my library. So I can come over to the library now and select that, just bring it over and drop it onto the plan page. It's as simple as that. So now anytime I see a condition where we've got to have a site monument sign, I'll just go over to my library, drop it on the plan page, and then what happens is an entry is made automatically for me by the system, and it date and time stamps the entry. So as a plan reviewer, all you have to do is review the document and put your markups on the plan page. Now let me go back to full page view. I'm going to just kind of zoom into this one area right here, the building area, and let's say I'm doing an ADA review as part of what I'm doing, and I note maybe that this door here is not ADA approved, or let's say that it requires an illuminated exit sign. So here in Fire and Life Safety, I've got an icon that I put in my library, and I can drag that icon onto the plan page, and I can move it anywhere I want, and I can size it to the size that's appropriate. I can use one of my arrow features here, and I can say that I need an illuminated exit sign right there. And so simply by dragging that icon onto the plan page, you can now see down here in the comment area that the system has made the comment for me. I don't have to type anything because it's in my library for reuse. Some of the other things that we can do. let's go to the planning folder. And typically, a planner will need to count the number of parking spaces, make sure that we've got enough parking spaces. So we've got a little tool here where we can go through and we can count parking spaces. And then when we're done, we just hit enter, and the system then counts those and makes an entry for us. Here we've got 8 parking spaces that have been counted. And those, of course, they can be different from the handicap spaces. I know somewhere, yeah, there we go. We got handicap spaces right there. So I'll go into my library, get my handicap space icon, and so what you can see is I'm kind of going through my library, and I got to check. I have a checklist. There's some certain things I need to check. And I'm going to do that. It makes it easy because I put my checklist into my library and I can validate the address. I can check the parking spaces, just various things that you all do in the matter of your plan review. Now, I see that this kitchen here says 2,640 square feet. Well, you know, architects are pretty good, and sometimes they're accurate, but every once in a while they'll make a mistake, and maybe I need to check something. I need to check, here we've got the dining area is 3216. So we have the ability to make measurements, and I'll come up here to our measurement tool. And the first thing typically we need to do, of course, is to calibrate the drawing. So I'm going to go to full page. I'm going to come down here to our legend, and I note that our drawing is 1/16 scale. So I'm going to click on calibrate, and it just says pick 2 different points, which we're going to pick one point here, the other point there, and we're going to say 16 feet. Well, it's already in there for us. So we've calibrated and we've checked our calibration. So now we can proceed to measure for whatever, again, whatever our purposes are. So bear with me here while I reposition my drawing. I'm going to make a little more room by hiding my comments here. And I'm just going to give myself a larger area to work on. I'm going to select my measurement tool, and we can measure linear, area, perimeters, all those things that we may need to measure. We can count items like we just counted parking spaces. So here we're going to do an area measurement. So I'm going to take my measuring tool, and I'm just going to go around the drawing, and you can see I'm plotting points around the area that I want to measure. Now, if I want to include this little offset right here, I just include the offset, and it's going to calculate it appropriately for me. And once I've completed, I can hit enter, and there it's giving me 26. I can verify that I get 2,610 square feet. Well, we're a little off, and that's not surprising because if you look right here, I kind of missed a few points, but I can zoom in and I can move these points to increase my accuracy. So I'll go ahead and I'll take this guy, I'll move him there, move him out a little bit. So you can see that you can improve your accuracy if need be. Now also, when we make our measurement, again, we've got an entry down here of 2,614 square feet. And so if I'm creating a fee based on square footage, we have a fee calculator built into your electronic plan review system so that we can pre-populate formulas and fees, so that if you're counting plumbing fixtures and there's a fee attached to it, we're going to help you calculate all of that, put that into the fee schedule, make sure it gets paid, all of those things that we can do by counting and measuring, if that happens to be a part of your process. So now we're going to assume that I have completed my review. Of course, you know that it's not a real review. I've just simulated a review and some of the things that a reviewer might do, and how your markups then get into the system. And so each time you make a markup on a drawing, it's going to create a comment down here in this section. And before you leave your work, the system's going to want to save your work for you so that you don't forget to save it. It's a little fail-safe check. And we now have created a number of different issues. So what we'll want to do is then return to the project page, because we're done with our review. And I'm going to refresh my screen. And what we're going to note is now we've got 6 open issues. And remember, and the system knows that I created these issues. And we could also make this a discipline. So this could say mechanical, and we can group all of the mechanical issues under one category. So here are the issues that I just created. And so you can see how you're just dropping and marking up the drawing. The system takes it from there and composes your comment letter. It'll gather the mechanical comments. It'll gather the structural comments. It'll collate that document in a way that you want it to be collated. It's very configurable. And so it's going to combine all of the different reviewers' results into one document. So as a reviewer, I'm looking over what it was I said, and I'm checking to make sure I didn't have any typos and that sort of thing. And I'll remind you that 1, 2, 3, we're going to review, which we did. We looked at the drawing. We got oriented to what the issues were. We found a couple of issues, and we made our comments. And now it's time for us to close out our review. So we're back to the 1, 2, 3. Review, comment, close out. So we've reviewed, we've commented, here's our comments, and now we need to close out our portion of the review. And so we come down to review cycles, where each reviewer's name and discipline is listed right here. And I'm going to step up in pay grade and pretend that I'm Carmelo Pifano, and I'm going to close out my review. So you just click on the red X, and then you select it. If you want to add your, if tracking your time is a part of your company's process, then we can go ahead and post our time in there. And let's say we spend an hour and 15 minutes on that, and I can put in a note there that whatever I want to tell the administrator, completed first review. That's not required to put anything in there, but if you wanted to, if there was a note you wanted to send to your administrator, you could do that. So we're going to submit that. We've added our time tracking. All of the various reviewers are going to add time tracking if that's one of the features you want to use, and it's going to create a report for your administrators, tell your administrators how much time company-wide was spent on this specific project and who contributed to the results. So that's the time tracking piece. The second piece is the result of the review, and we're going to disapprove our portion of the review because we've got issues there that have to be corrected. We want the applicant to acknowledge that he's going to put a monument sign out at the street so that people will know, what the project is. So I'm going to disapprove, and I'm going to confirm. Now that I've confirmed my review, I'm done as a reviewer. And we can see here that now my name, Carmelo, is in green now, and everyone else in red has yet to complete their review. And don't don't get mad at me and think I'm beating a dead horse. I'm really trying to point out that it's really as easy as 1, 2, 3. If we keep our focus on that, we're going to review, comment, and close out. And as a reviewer, we're done. 1, 2, 3, review, comment, close out. We're done with that first portion of the review, and we've closed it out right here. And so, as part of our evaluation process, I'd like to take a break right now, and hopefully you all still have a copy handy of the How to Review a Project in IDT plans, because I'd like to take a break and have each reviewer create at least one comment and close out their portion of the review. Now, Carmelo, I need some guidance from you yes, on whether you want to take a break right now, leave the session active, and go into and have each reviewer access the system and attempt to make their review. Whether you want to leave the session active, and then I'll stand by until you come back to me and say, okay, everybody's, done their review, made a comment, and closed out, and then we'll take the evaluation to the next step. So I can either stay online, and we can try and finish that up yet this afternoon, or we can complete our session for today. Your reviewers can make their comment as they can, but once it's done, then we'll start another session and we'll take it to the next step. But I think that the logical process here is to get some hands-on at this point and give the reviewers an opportunity to review, comment, and close out. What are your thoughts?
Let me consult that with Carlos Del Pino 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, give me 1 minute.
Sure thing.